What is up, everyone? Matt back for another Real Review. And today I'm here to talk about the new dramedy, Roofman. And starring Channing Tatum, it is based on a true story about a criminal with a heart of gold. First and foremost, this film is so balls to the wall ridiculous, but the fact that it's based on a true story just boggles my mind. It's about a down on his luck former serviceman who's been discharged from the armed forces, and he takes the time. He's struggling. He and his wife are having issues, and it causes him to turn to a life of crime after a friend points out to him, you were successful in the armed forces because of this reason. You notice all of these other things, these patterns, this, that, and the other. That is your superpower. So he turns around after seeing his buddy have his own ways of doing illegal things to make money. He turns around and decides, I'm going to start robbing places to make money. And he successfully does so for about a year, robbing McDonald's and Burger Kings up until he finally gets caught. And then he escapes prison after some time and ends up living inside of a Toys R Us for about a 5 or 6 month span of time. And that's kind of the basis of our story. Channing Tatum does a fantastic job in this film. It is probably one of his better performances. I've always been a big fan of his performance in Firecatcher, and I thought he was wrongfully just ignored in that film. But he does a great job making you root for someone you probably shouldn't be rooting for, because he's out here doing all these illegal things and this illegal activity. And you can't help but kind of root for the guy and hope that he gets what he wants, because he starts to fall in love with Kirsten Dunst's character, who we'll get to her in a second, and start to build this life while also hiding who he really is. So, Kirsten Dunst. I personally haven't seen her much. I didn't watch Power of the Dog on Netflix, so I know that was the last major thing she was in that I can think of off the top of my head. But from what I saw of her in this, I thoroughly enjoyed it. She was interesting. She was charming. My buddy Kutso and I were talking about it after the film. He wasn't as high on her as I was, but at the same time, his biggest issue was like he felt like she was miscast, and I said, why? And he's like, she was kind of vanilla, kind of white bread, and I'm like, isn't that kind of the point of the character? So that was interesting to have her in. LaKeith Stanfield, who I feel is just criminally underused in today's society. I need that man in more films. The absolute scene stealer whenever he's on screen. Funny as always, quick-witted as always. I miss Atlanta strictly because of him and Donald Glover and just the craziness that they'd get into in that show. I mean, it's fun. And then Peter Dinklage is just this real dick of a manager who's realistically the victim in this film, or one of the victims in this film. And you want him to fucking lose. Like, you don't feel bad for him. So it's very interesting to be in a perspective as an audience member. It's very interesting to be in this spot where you're like, you're rooting for the villain, hating on the victim, and you really shouldn't be. But at the same time, they do a great. It goes to the screenplay by Derek Cianfrance, who also directed this film, and Kurt Gunn, who just do a fantastic job of crafting the story that makes you care about the person you shouldn't care about. Some issues I had, though, is it felt a little too long. it was a throwback to a good mid-level made film. Where when I say mid-level made film, it's not this crazy budget. It's not super small. It's just right in that perfect center where Hollywood used to be. This used to be the bread and butter of, we'll make this $30 to $50 million budget film, and it'll gross like 90 to 100 million. We'll make our money back and a little bit extra. And that's something we've lacked in today's society, where we've become highly reliant on these massive blockbusters. So it was nice to get something like that. However, the downside of that is sometimes they are slow, and the third act dragged a little bit for me. And yes, it's based on a true story, but not a lot of people know this true story. And there are points where it becomes just fairly predictable, or the fact that you don't follow up on enough instances and just the way time works, just how quickly it goes by this 5-month period, and the little snippets you get of his life. And it's like, there should be more warning flags during this time. But other than that, I mean, really solid film. I will probably see it again. If I'm giving this film a rating, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 reels. Just absolutely had a blast. It isn't the best film that I've seen all year, but it's definitely one of the better ones. And I can't wait for you guys to check it out yourselves. So with that being said, be sure to check out everything we do over here on Watt Reel Entertainment. Check out our sister channel, Watt Reel Gaming, run by one of my business partners, Taylor Cleek. He does a fantastic job. All of our Twitch streams go to live there after the fact. So go check that out. Also, do have to shout out one of his planned Twitch streams coming off, the Real-Halloween Rumble, where he does a WWE 2K wrestling sim. And this is the Real-Halloween Rumble. It's a Royal Rumble, Halloween themed, with all the different characters and whatnot in our league. So check that out. And also check out myself and Amaru Moses' new podcast, the Daily Prophet Cast. The next episode we're doing on this Harry Potter podcast was David Yates' Bad for the Franchise. So be sure to check that out as well. But with that being said, folks, signing off, I am Matt, and this was another Real Review. We'll see you next time.